here with Chris Tonkin. He is the CEO and President for Arafura Resources. Chris, how are you today?
Very well, thank you, Tracy.
Chris, I understand you have some, I would argue, startling, excellent news, especially for your shareholders. I'm going to let you deliver the news. Tell us all about this.
Well, we're making some fairly major changes to the company and the project, Tracy. Our headline is we're proposing to cut up to $1 billion off our project costs, plus operating costs.
Okay, let me just savor that for a second as a shareholder. You're going to cut $1 billion off your overall cost. How do you plan on doing that?
Well, I know it sounds very optimistic, but it's actually, I think, going to be a little easier than you think. As you know, our project is split between Whyalla and the mine site at Nolans Rare. Well, we've in the past week been talking to both the South Australian Government and the Northern Territory Government about moving all or part of the project away from Whyalla and moving the intermediate processing plant closer to the mine site at Nolans Rare. Now that alone cuts somewhere between $150 and $200 million off capital costs. And once we make the move, we still have to decide what we're doing with the separation plant, but we're likely to move it as well to a location which we're working on at the moment. And if we move it, we're probably going to move it to a location where we can get access to chlorine and hydrochloric acid, which means we don't have to build a chlor-alkali plant, which takes another $300 million or so off the project costs. So there's $500 million without thinking too hard. At the same time, as you may remember, when we stated our base case in August last year, we said we were working on a trade-off study which would look at further process options, and we've concluded that study, and we are going to be we're at the moment assessing what project options we'll include in the project, and we expect that to cut several $100 million off the project costs as well. The third part of our program is we've now started collaborating very, very strongly with our Chinese partner, ECE. ECE has in turn introduced us to Chinese rare earth experts who we're commencing work with on what we call the project optimisation and review process, and we expect that focus on both capital and operating costs, and that's actually not counted in our $1 billion, believe it or not. But because we're not sure what will happen yet, but we're very optimistic about the outcome. We had a team in China for the best part of 2 weeks about a month ago, and they've come back very, very happy with what they found.
Okay, this is a lot to absorb, so I'm just going to back you up a little bit. How will this affect your timeline?
We think that it'll probably push our early work out a bit, but the Chinese are very optimistic they'll be able to compress our proposed construction and ramp-up period. So at the moment we're hoping to get inside the existing envelope that we already have.
So basically what you are, however, is you have I would say, quiet confidence of capital infrastructure support right to the processing end.
Yes, that's right.
Congratulations.
Well, there are still some hurdles in the way, but we're heading in the right direction, and as you said, I mean, to be able to state publicly that we can save so much off the project is a very, very big positive for us and gets us right back in the game. And you know, I think the other thing, the collaboration with the Chinese does, we don't have to spend so much money up front. So whereas the last 6 months we've been talking about raising an extra $30 million to finish our work, we feel that we might not have to do that now. There's a good chance we may not. And we have about $35 million in the bank.
Okay, this idea and formula sounds so tremendous as a win-win. Can you tell me who came up with this idea? Was this your management team or your Chinese investor? And
I think it's been a number of people have been involved in this. Yes, it has been the management team and our Chinese investor. I think all parties in the management team have had a hand in this because there's so many different elements of it.
So your immediate benchmarks, I mean, this is really big news. So clearly you're going to have to articulate this to your shareholder. Undoubtedly, this is going to attract new investors for you. All of your analysts and newsletter writers are going to have to be updated. Can you tell me what your immediate plan of action is to, moving forward in 2013?
The immediate plan of action is to try to identify some of the hurdles that stand in our way. And it's not a simple question of just moving the intermediate plant back to the mine site. The first issue is, and one of the issues that's blocked it in the past is no water. Well, the reality is we had a drilling program over Christmas, and we have an exploration program, and we believe we found enough water for the process plant out of that program, and failing that, we can actually supplement that by water drawn from Tea Tree Basin, which is a little bit to the north. But in any event, we have to do an investigation drilling program and a development program, which takes time and money. But we're very, very confident. The other thing we have to get for that is the Northern Territory Government and Federal Government approval to be able to extract the water. In the last couple of days, received a letter from the Minister for Resources in the Northern Territory, which is a very positive letter for the project, stating the support for the project, and he either is or was the Minister in charge of water as well.
I have a question I have to ask. Obviously, when you made this announcement that you were going to change your location for the processing facility, and you've had a lot of political support from your local community, how did you manage that particular announcement?
Well, I think it caused a lot of angst in the company about making these announcements and these discussions with the governments, because first of all, we had a commitment to Whyalla, and there had been a lot of community work done there, and as a company, we didn't really want to go and tell them that we're sorry that it can't be done. But once we started discussions with both the government and the senior people in Whyalla, it became evident that they understood the situation the company was in, and said, well, the reality is it's got to happen, and they actually were disappointed, but they also said they were still supporting the company.
Well, I have to tell you, this is some of the best news I think I've heard in the Australian rare earth market in quite some time. So I just want to say congratulations, and thank you for joining me today.